I have a very nice honor right now. During the fight of privatization, one of the biggest frustrations was the problems we had with the press. Of course, it was the president who had the microphone. He did the 60 meetings around the country. He was talking about privatization. It was so hard for some of us to get any publicity. But slowly but surely, the working press that understood the nuts and bolts of Social Security, the people who had lived the history of Social Security, began to help us get the message out. And so that's why today we are giving the 2008 Media Excellence Award to Saul Friedman. Saul Friedman founded the column Gray Matters in 1996. But before that, for 40 years, he worked at the Houston Chronicle, the Night Rider newspapers, and Newsday. During that time, he covered beats from the county courthouse to the White House. He covered foreign affairs. He covered wars. And then when it seemed time maybe for some people to retire, some of us never do, but when it seemed time to retire, Saul was not about to retire. And that's when he began Gray Matters in 1996. And I can't tell you how important it was to myself, my organization, and those that we worked with, when Saul would explain what privatization would do to Social Security. Saul considers himself an advocate for his readers and calls his column a survival guide for men and women. What his column really was the first time the information was brought together for seniors in an organ that went all over this country. Saul Friedman, you have helped everybody for so long, and you continue to help us every day. Saul Friedman.
Thank you, Barbara. And thank you, everybody. If I may say a few words, I'd appreciate it. I should begin by saying that I was born on March 4th, 1929, the inauguration day of Herbert Hoover, which accounts for my political views and my support for Social Security and Medicare. Mr. Roosevelt, your grandfather was my God and still is. Ms. Rob Lyndon Johnson was one of the first presidents I covered when I was in Texas, and he was a senator and later on in Washington. I'd really like to say a couple of words about Medicare, though, because I think I am not as sanguine about its future as some of you may be. This committee, along with the Medicare Rights Center, the Center for Medicare Advocacy, and the Alliance for Retired Americans, have been steadfast in their defense of Medicare. If I've left out an organization, you'll understand why. They have helped produce a column, they helped me produce a column that has been right most of the time, which is more than I can say for some of my colleagues. I'm in a novel position. I am an older person, a person on Medicare and Social Security, who is writing a column for older people. I began writing the column shortly after Newt Gingrich's Congress took over Washington. On the breakfast that I attended on that day, a few days later, Newt's Lieutenant Dick Armey told us, reporters, that he intended to wean our elderly away from Medicare. A few months later, if you remember, Newt Gingrich made a speech to a bunch of insurers in which he said that when Medicare would wither on the vine. I didn't realize until I started writing my column exactly what they meant by that. Now we know.